I also visited the United States District Court, and there was a major development there in a sense that finally I got the United States District Court to provide me with some copies of NEFs in my own case in Zernick v. Connor et al. At the same time, the court absolutely refused to let me access any documents in two other cases. One is Fine versus Sheriff, the habeas corpus petition of Richard Fine, and the other one is United States versus City of LA et al., which was a landmark case in 2001 where the United States purportedly sued the City of LA in the aftermath of the failed investigation and prosecution of corrupt police and judges in the rampant scandal. And I alleged that all three litigations, Zernick versus Connor et al., Fine versus Sheriff et al., the habeas corpus, and also United States versus City of LA et al., are all false litigation based on false NEFs and false docketing. And the records that I received in my own case definitely proved my allegations, and I subsequently sent letters to the clerk of the court, Terry Nafisi, and I made a very simple request. Since the court, the United States District Court in Los Angeles refuses to certify its own dockets, I requested that the clerk of the court, in her capacity as custodian of records of the United States Court, will issue a statement that the dockets in Zernick versus Connor et al., where I sued some 10 judges of the Los Angeles Superior Court in what I alleged was amounting to racketeering, together with Bank of America, and Fine v. Sheriff, which is the habeas corpus of Richard Fine, as well as United States versus City of LA, I asked the clerk of the court, Terry Nafisi, to issue a simple statement that those, each and every one of these dockets is an honest, valid, and effectual record of the court pursuant to United States Code. So far, she has not responded. It's been a couple of weeks now, more than a couple of weeks. I sent a reminder, but I'm not holding my breath. I also communicated in last couple of weeks with the Basel Committee, with Mary Shapiro, chairman of the SEC, and with Kevin Bailey, as deputy comptroller of the currency of the United States, and he's also he doubles as the United States representative to the Basel Committee on International Banking Regulation. And basically, I pointed out, and also I also communicated with the Office of United States High Commissioner on Human Rights. And basically, what I pointed out to all these parties was the level of deceit and fraud in the United States justice system. And my basic claim is that there is no way that the United States could implement honest and effective, valid banking regulation when the underlying, the infrastructure of the justice system is entirely deceitful. And as examples, I gave beyond the Zernick v. Connor et al., where I had as defendants also Bank of America, I gave three other cases. Two cases are running right now in the United States District Court in New York, in Manhattan. And they are SEC versus Bank of America. Presumably the highlight or the hallmark of banking regulation after it's been shored up, as the administrators told Congress, where SEC was enforcing the law on Bank of America. But in fact, the data suggests that both of these litigations are also sham court actions. In SEC versus Bank of America, no summons were docketed by the court in New York, and when I requested the clerk of the court in New York to provide me copies of the docket of the summons, he refused. He likewise refused to provide copies of the NEFs of the court orders. and everything points out that it's basically a sham litigation. Likewise, there is litigation going on now in southern Florida, United States District Court, criminal prosecution of UBS AG, a major Swiss bank, and that litigation as well was represented as a hallmark of United States IRS enforcement. I claim that it is a false and sham litigation as well, and my requests to examine the NEFs are on the way, but based on my experience with other United States courts and courts of appeal, it's unlikely that I'll be allowed to view any of the NEFs in any of these cases. So, bottom line is that the combination of state courts in Los Angeles, which are allegedly racketeering, and United States courts, which are deceitful, is human rights abuse in Los Angeles County of historic proportions. It's difficult for me to give a specific number on the number of people that are falsely imprisoned in Los Angeles, but it could easily be in not the thousands, but the tens of thousands. The number of thousands was already, or 10 to 20,000 were already mentioned a decade ago, but the analysis that I performed on the computer system of the sheriff suggests that it's a much larger number. It looks like a habit of engaging in arrest and jailing with no valid documentation. In parallel, the same system leads to extremely risky situation relative to the American financial system, and therefore I requested the United Nations High Commissioner on Human Rights and the Basel Committee on International Banking to send observers to the United States, if for no other reasons, to reduce the risk of catastrophic financial collapse of the financial systems in the United States. I do not believe that I'm overstating the level of concerns regarding the lack of integrity in these systems. That's all for today, and I'll record again in a couple of weeks.